This is TWiT.
The Cloud Native Computing Foundation is a little bit less than 2 years old. We're part of the Linux Foundation. We're a nonprofit. We're best known for hosting Kubernetes, but we also have a lot of other projects like Prometheus, Containerd, and gRPC that all work well together. And we're really, our whole purpose of our foundation is to help open source projects thrive. And so part of that is that there's developers out there who have ideas that they're playing with on their own machine, and they want to figure out, is this going to work at scale or not? And so we partnered with Packet, and we're thrilled with the relationship we have with them. And they're making available $25,000 per month of credits that we then provide to open source developers. And so we give first choice of those resources to the 12 projects that we're hosting internally. And I can talk a little bit about some of the interesting ways we're using it. But I think the key message of this podcast is we are not using all of those credits yet. And so it is just a tragedy to let those go to waste. It's like empty airline seats. And so if you are a developer working on a project that you think could scale or should scale, or you want to test if it can or not, we would love to have you apply. It's a super easy process via GitHub. It takes a couple days for us to set you up with an account, and you can be working with some of the most amazing state-of-the-art machines, and also some really cool sort of edge, different configurations that Jacob can tell you about.
Yeah, I want to back up just a second, though, because one of the things I saw at the Open Source Summit, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Well, my life is a blur, so I have no idea when these conferences are anymore. It was 2 weeks ago. It was this huge, like 80 logos, and they said this is all part of the CNCF. And so describe a little more about what the CNCF is. It's a consortium of industry.
Yeah, and that slide that you saw was definitely out of date because we're up to like 130 or something members at this point. And so you can think of us as a software foundation, a lot like Apache Software Foundation or OpenStack. We're sort of the youngest one, and our aspiration is that we, by coming later, are trying to look at some of the mistakes that other foundations have made, and we want to go make entirely different mistakes. And so we've so far been really successful in bringing together this now 12 really amazing projects that have all agreed to be hosted by CNCF. And we have a pretty extraordinary group of members. We've also just had a really amazing fall where we've just signed 6 new platinum members in the last 2 months. So Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle, Pivotal, VMware, and in fact today in the next few minutes we're going to be announcing SAP as a platinum member. And so one way of thinking of what we're doing is that all those members are coming together, all those companies, because they care about investing in this open source software stack that gives users options, avoids lock-in, allows you to move between public, private, and hybrid clouds. And this community infrastructure lab is one of the ways that we can use their resources and help direct them in order to help move the industry forward.
Awesome. So let's hear from Jacob here. So what's Packet is a service provider?
Yeah. So we're about 3-year-old company. So we're almost as well. We're a little older than the CNCF, right? We're a cloud essentially. So we're pretty similar to what you might find with an AWS or Google Cloud or an Azure, except for kind of one major difference, which instead of offering sort of multi-tenant virtualization-based cloud computing, we offer dedicated servers, nothing more than that, right? And so that's where our alignment with cloud native, which is that buzzword we were talking about before, is really exciting for us because software is getting really good at moving stuff around. And it doesn't necessarily care all the time if it's working on a VM or working on a bare metal server in a private cloud and a public cloud. And so it's a really good fit with Packet, which offers bare metal servers instead of VMs. And
so, so actually, I want to ask Jonathan's question from this morning, or from this morning. It's all been this morning. Come on, from just a few minutes ago, which is. So, what does it mean, cloud native? I don't quite get what that is.
No, we should have a runoff.
Right.
Okay.
We've thought of relatively offensive logos that we could do that include clouds and natives. But the idea is that it's a new form of computing. That really the most important trend of the previous decade was virtualization, virtual machines, and the biggest winner in that by far was VMware, where all sorts of companies run their servers because they used to often many applications only take a few percentage of the total capacity of the server. You put the application in a virtual machine, and then you can stack tons of VMs in a single server. But we think the biggest trend of this decade is containerization. And so the idea of cloud native is that you take your application, you break it up into different pieces. So from a monolith to what we call microservices, you containerize each of those separate parts of your application, and then you need an orchestration system in order to make sure that all those different parts of the containers are running and that they're allocated correctly and packed in. So we define cloud native as those three words: microservices, containerization, and orchestration. And Kubernetes has now emerged as really the leading part of software to enable that, but there's a lot of other complementary projects that CNCF hosts and other organizations host, or that live on in GitHub, that are all working together and make cloud native computing feasible.